Hi everyone, welcome back to Job One for All. In this video, we are going to talk about lists, but we are going to work with objects. So far, we have been working with strings, pretty straightforward, but let's see how we can create a list of smartphones. Now, let's create a new test. Let's call it smartphone test, actually list test 01 PSVM, and we need a couple objects. We can go to equals test 01. We can copy this value right here, and I would like to have two different serial numbers. So let me just change this one, and let me add another smartphone. This will be 3333, and this will be Samsung. Okay, we have three smartphones. Think as these smartphones are something that is stored somewhere else. Could be another system, could be a database, could be in a file, but you do have somewhere these smartphones available. And usually, for example, imagine that you have a system and you want to see all the smartphones available in your system. Usually you are coming, you are getting to the database and coming back with that data retrieved from there. So basically, we want to work with a collection of smartphones. We don't want to keep working individually like what we have here. So we want to group them, and what we know so far is that we can have a list or an array list of smartphones. Basically here, the type that I want is smartphone. You can press Alt Enter to import the class from package java.util. Be careful, sometimes we import by mistake from java.awt. And to create an array list, since we have only 3 and we may add more, but we are not going over 6. Okay, so we have an object. This object is an array list that can have several objects that is a smartphone inside, and we just need to start adding values to this array list. Basically, smartphones dot add, and then S1, and you press Ctrl D, S2, and S3. Cool. Now there are two things. First, if you want to print everything that is inside this array list, we will need enhanced for or indexed for. And I also forgot in my smartphone class to override, pressing Alt Insert, the toString, because we are going to use. Select both attributes and make sure that you have these, because now we can create a enhanced for and say that here the left side, the reference will be a smartphone type, and we want to iterate over smartphones. South smartphone. Ctrl Shift F10, and as you can see, we have a collection, a list of smartphones. Pretty cool. But what I wanted to show you is why we were overriding the equals. So just for clarity, if you want to ever clean an entire list, you have a clear method. So if you call smartphones.clear, it's going to remove everything that you have inside that list. As you can see, completely blank. But the object is still there. The array list still exists, just all the data inside is wiped out. Now, how do we search something? Let's say that we have smartphone 4. Let's say that, for example, you have a screen and like an employee is searching for a smartphone. I want to see if I have a Pixel or iPhone. Let's use iPhone. I want to search for iPhone, and they know the serial number. They input the serial number on the screen, and then we have Samsung here, and they also input the name. For Java, in our case, this specific class, two smartphones are equal if their serial numbers are equal. So technically, our employee could only write the serial number, and it would check if we have these available in our system. Now, I have a smartphone, and I want to know if my collection contains that smartphone. Let's say, for example, maybe I don't have the name, but I want to know if that collection has a smartphone with this serial number. If I come here and I type South, we have one special method inside smartphones, inside the list, that is called contains. And contains is asking for a object. The object should match the type of object that you have inside your list. In this case, smartphones, and I'm going to pass S4. I will press Ctrl Shift F10, and you will see that we do have. It does not return the object. It does not return where this object is located. It just tells you we have this smartphone based on the equals that I defined inside this list smartphones. Now, how does it know that it contains? Because the contains from the list will call the equals. So if you go back to your smartphone and you put a breakpoint here on line 23 and press Shift F9, you will see that it's stopped. So the first object that we have, the this that we have here, serial number, is the object that's triggering the equals. So the serial number that is 2222, and the object that we are receiving as argument is 1BACN2. So this means if I press F9 again, that if you look at this, so looks like the Java behind the scenes is doing something like this: S4 dot equals, and then one by one. So it would be S1 and then S2 and then S3. So basically this is what's happening behind the scenes. So pressing F9, it will just resume the program and we have true. Now, what if you want to get an index of that? Because now that you know if it's there or not, true or false, you can do your own business logic. But let's say that you would like to get a value back. The array list is ordered by the index. For example, I told you that we can add, for example, a specific position. So now the S3, that's the Samsung, will be the first position in our array. So what if we want to search? Because now, okay, I know that I have the smartphone S4, but for example, I would like to know the name of that smartphone. And in our case here, the name is blank because let's say that the employee forgot to input the name, does not remember, and we would like to get the name back. So I will just comment this out because you can either use contains or you can use index of. So basically the index of will return the index of the object from your list. But the thing is, you have to be careful because if it finds the object, it will return the index correctly. In this case, the 2222 is position 101, the iPhone. But if it does not exist, it's going to return -1. So make sure that when you are using the index of, you wrap this into a if. So for example, you could have something like this. So if it's different than -1, I want, for example, to South. I know that the index exists. So smartphones dot get and the index of. Let me remove this one. And this is what, for example, we would be returning to our user. Imagine that we have a screen and this is what would be returned for him, the result of his search. And he would see, okay, we do have the serial number 2222 there, and the name is an iPhone. Cool. So this is everything that I wanted to tell you to show you how important it is for you to have a equals. Now, if you don't have equals, if you are curious, you just remove this guy and press Shift F10 again, and you see what happens. So in this case, the index was never executed. In this case, the if never passed because it will never find. Remember, if you do not have your equals, basically Java is going to do something like this: S4 equals S1 and then S4 equals S2. But remember, this is only comparing the reference. Since we have 4 different objects, each one of them in its own memory address, it will always return false. Okay, so this is everything I wanted to tell you. Let's continue in the next video. Bye.